was in Florida. I literally got on a plane my first day as the youth pastor, and I flew to Florida to a mission trip, a World Changers trip, and I didn't know any of the kids. I knew Michael Whitaker, and I just knew him because I met him a couple of times, and he went to Gordon Lee, and I could remember that. So I go to this airport, and I know that two people are picking me up, and I don't know who they are, or what they look like, or if they're going to be nice to me. And I'm sitting in the airport by myself, and interestingly enough, one of them is here tonight, Brandon Hollander, and they're screaming across the airport, Billy! And I was like, holy crap, what have I gotten myself into? And we had the best time. So we left the airport and we went to this church that had been hit by a hurricane, and it was pretty bombed out. It was nasty and kind of awesome at the same time. And I literally slept under a table on that trip. We were packed in. And since it was a World Changers trip, they split our group up into many other groups. And that week, Lauren King was, Lauren, where are you? Annie, you guys come on up. In my World Changers team that week was Lauren King. So it was kind of weird for me because I was on this team with a bunch of people I didn't know. But by the end of the week, I knew them better than I knew the kids that were in my youth group. And during that week, being able to spend time with Lauren, I met this beautiful soul who absolutely got me excited about my start to being here. And you don't remember this. But after that week, it was still 2 more weeks before I was here physically in this building as the youth pastor. So my first Sunday here, I came into this building and I was nervous because Dennis had been the youth pastor for a long time. So it was kind of awkward. You're coming in to take someone's place. And that was kind of weird for me. And I thought, oh, just please be nice to me. And I remember coming in this door over here, and Lauren was on the other side of the room, and she ran up and she hugged me. And I thought, man, this is going to be the best experience ever. And here we are today, Lauren and Anna King.
I'm going to pray real quick because I'm kind of nervous. All right. Dear Father, thank you so much for this awesome time that we can just come together and worship you through song and just through testimony and all that you've done for us, and just give you glory through that. And I pray that no one else will get the glory here tonight but you. And it will just, I don't know. I just all want it to be for you and none of our glory. There's nothing that we could have done because there's no one righteous, no, not one. And I just thank you so much again for that and just all that your Son has done for us. And just give us the words to speak and let them be your words alone, because our words mean nothing. So I just thank you so much for everything in your precious name. Amen.
All right, so I'm going to start off just by giving my testimony. So I was raised in a Christian home and church every week and fully involved, and I actually was in the youth group here. Started going here when I was like 13 or 14, I think. And but before that, when I was about 7 years old, I remember doing Awana, and one Sunday afternoon, like practicing my verses with my dad. I had said, I want to have Jesus in my heart. So I prayed the prayer and thought, all right, I'm going to go to heaven now. And even through high school, really just had that doubt. Like every night when I would lay in bed, like, oh, am I really going to go to heaven? And I re-prayed that prayer over and over and over again. But still, just really thought, okay, I'm a Christian because the church tells you have to pray a prayer and that's it. And so I remember when I worked at Team Valley that I would see like how others would act and really wonder like why I didn't feel that. And it was because I didn't have that personal relationship. And I'd been told about personal relationship and everything, but I guess I just didn't understand it. And so going through life, like, I lived a pretty moral life and pretty religious moral life, like, in church every week, doing all the right things. And then whenever I was 19, I moved away to Kennesaw to go to KSU. And since I didn't have that personal relationship, it made it very easy to stray. And I remember how much Dennis McNulty, as he was my youth pastor, how much he stressed to go get involved in a church, and Billy too. But like whenever you go to college, make sure you're involved in a church, because that's what holds you accountable. And my roommate and I, like, we would visit churches, but we never like really got plugged in. We would just go on Sunday and go home, and that was it. And we were involved in a couple Bible studies, but never really like fully involved. And because we didn't have that personal relationship, we never felt convicted by anything. And when I was 22, I started dating a non-Christian guy. He said he believed in God, and that's what I thought was enough in my mind. And this is, again, because I didn't have that conviction. And I want to read James 2:18. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. So just by somebody believing in God doesn't mean that they're saved. The demons believe. Satan believes in God. And so I was blinded by that and just didn't realize that it really involves you having that personal relationship and taking up your cross daily and surrendering everything on this earth for Him. And when I was dating that guy, or after I started dating that guy, I had been going to school for several years and I got to a point where I couldn't afford my bills, like with the classes that I had, the schedule that I had. So I needed to look for a different job. And when I quit, I ended up quitting school and started looking for jobs. And then one came up, kind of fell in my lap, and it was a bar job. And in my mind, I thought, oh, I won't be influenced by this. It'll be fine. But again, because I did not have that personal relationship, I wasn't convicted by anything. So I started working there, and it was about 4.5 years ago. And in the beginning, like, I just went to work, came home, went to work, came home, that was fine. But eventually got mixed in with that social circle, and what everybody did there was, they, after work, they would hang out at work, and they would drink. And so I started hanging out at work and drinking after work and even on my days off. And really ended up having a lot of depression and anxiety over that. And it was, I knew that something was missing out of my life. And there were several times that I would try to turn to God. Like I would break out the Bible and I would read, but then I would just put it aside because I wasn't willing to give up my life. And then over that depression and anxiety, just to numb the pain, I started smoking pot. And I thought that was okay because, it's natural, God created it, and you have all these lies fed to you by the world. And you think that it's okay. And so I started that, and again, I would try to get into the Word, or I would try to visit church every once in a while, but it was hard for me to go to church because I worked late nights, and so Saturday nights I worked until 4 a.m. sometimes. And so I didn't really go to church much, but another passage I want to read that goes along with that is that Jesus says in Luke 9, 23 and 24, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life and will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. And I know we've heard that verse a lot, and I didn't really, understand what it meant until I surrendered to Him. And I actually was curious because we've heard it so much, I was curious what the real meaning of deny meant. So I looked it up, and the Greek meaning of deny means to disregard all personal interests and enjoyments. Can you imagine disregarding everything on this earth, everything that you enjoy? And that's a hard thing. It's hard to do. And you can only do it with him. So I continued to live my own way. And in January this past year, I broke up with my boyfriend. And so I felt like that was a step in the right direction, but I still chose to live a very immoral lifestyle in the next few months. And you know, I just wasn't quite ready to give it up. And Proverbs 4:19 says, "The way of the wicked is like deep darkness; they do not know over what they stumble." And that's kind of where I was. You know, I was blinded by it. I had no idea what I was stumbling over. I thought I was fine. You know, I still thought I was a Christian because I prayed that prayer when I was 7. So it was right around that same time that I broke up with my boyfriend. My oldest friend, Hunter, I've known him since I was 2. He moved to China to become a school teacher, but with the sole purpose of being a missionary and telling people about God and His Word and His love. And he mentioned to me to come visit him, and I just kind of laughed it off in the beginning because I was like, well, it's China, that's forever away, and no, I'm not going to do that. But then I ended up thinking, well, why not? Like, I don't have anything holding me back. I have money in the bank because I've been bartending and I've been saving up money, which for what I thought was going to be school, but God had a different plan. So I ended up going to China, booked my trip. I thought I was going for a 2-week vacation. And when I went, I remember thinking beforehand, like, God is going to try to change me, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I just don't think He's going to be successful. I can live my own way and it'll be fine. And the first day that I was there, my friend Hunter, he opened his Bible that morning. He had made breakfast, and he opened his Bible, and he was like, hey, you know, I read a proverb, like, every morning. That's how I start my day, and, you know, read other things after that. But, like, on the first day of the month, read the first proverb, and second day of the month, second proverb, and so on and so forth. So that day, we read the proverb of that day, and, you know, I was fine with it. I knew what I was going into. I knew I was going to be around Christians and missionaries, and I was okay with it. And I went the next day to church, and the pastor talked about surrendering your life and following God and what it really means to take up your cross daily. And so again, like, that's something like coming into my mind. And that night I wrote in my journal that I thought that I should quit my job. And that was pretty much it. But I said, you know, I wanted to pray about it and think about it a little more. And that next day, I worked with Hunter in his job. He worked as a school teacher for kindergartners. So we took the bus to work. And on the bus that morning, he opened his Bible and he was like, hey, I'm going to read the proverb out loud, and then you read it out loud, and then we'll discuss it. And I was like, okay. And it's kind of funny. A couple weeks ago, I got an email from him, and he said, I was actually a bit nervous to do that, and I thought about not saying anything, just reading and waiting for you to say something, but then God hit me upside the head and made me realize that I needed to open my mouth, so I did, and now here we are. If he hadn't said anything, I don't know if any of this next turn of events would have even happened. And so it's just really, I want to say there, it's just, you know, it's really important to share whenever you feel like God's telling you to share. Because, you know, maybe I would have come to God another way, but maybe not. You know, He used that person in my life to share truth with me. And that evening after work, I had told Hunter that I was thinking about quitting, but I wasn't sure. And instead of him just saying, like, okay, that's a good idea, he asked me all the hard questions. He said, why? And I was like, well, it's a bad place. And he was like, well, why is it a bad place? And it's like, I was like, well, it's a bad influence. And he's like, well, what's a bad influence about it? So he just keeps asking me all this stuff, even though he already knows, trying to make me search my heart. And it was really a blessing to have that there, have somebody so bold to be able to talk to me. And when I was there, like, over the next couple days, we hung out with a lot of Chinese students in the evenings, and we would have these things called English corners, where the Chinese students would come and practice their English, and that we would play games with them and do music and stuff like that. But really, our main focus was to tell them about God. And it was really cool and very humbling to see that they were so eager to know. After we've been given this our whole lives, it's put right in front of us, and then we choose to reject it. Or I had, and I know many others have over years. And so that really broke me down. I think that was my point of realizing this is what I need. I just need to deny everything, deny myself, and turn to God. And 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 12, Paul's telling us about the Antichrist, and he says, "This man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction, because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. So God will cause them to be greatly deceived, and they will believe these lies. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the truth." And I had no idea that because I didn't follow the truth that I was going to go to hell. And I'm so thankful that God allowed me to live to see that day where I turned to Him. And on July 4th, only after 5 days of being there, I quit my job. Something I wrote in my journal that day was, "I love that I'm choosing good and not evil. I've missed you in my life, Lord. I'm back. It's so crazy how you don't realize how lost you are until you are found. You created me and put me on this earth for a purpose. That purpose is to spread your word and love. I want to live for you. Put me where you need me, Lord. Give me the strength to work hard for you and not be beaten down again. I cannot do this alone." And I feel like that was really my surrendering moment. And it was a process. It wasn't like just, a minute that it happened. It took 2 months of being there for me to really grow in Him and realize that I could give everything up. But I felt that the Lord was calling me to stay there a little longer. And since I quit my job, I didn't really have a whole lot holding me back. So I checked to see how much it would be for me to change my ticket, and I booked it through Travelocity, and it was going to be about $1,000. And I was like, well, that's not a wise decision with the money that I have in the bank. I could afford it, but I just didn't think it was good because I'd also been feeling like God wanted me to come back to this place, and I could use that money later on to come back. So I ended up just calling Korean Air one day, and they're who my flight was through. And after just a couple minutes on hold, she came back and told me a date that was about 7 weeks out. And in my head, I was thinking, that's a long way, but okay, let me just find out how much it is. And when I asked her how much, she said nothing. And I feel like that was, God just affirming me to be there. And so without hesitation at all, I took it. And I ended up staying there for 7 more weeks. And in the 2 months that I was there, I really feel like God used, He used prayer, and He used His word, and He used circumstances, and He used the body of believers to help change me and morph me into who He wanted me to be. And everyone's different, and He uses all sorts of ways to speak and to change us. And I had to be taken out of that deep pit of sin and see it to realize His grace and mercy and how amazing it is. And in 2 Peter 3:9, Peter writes, "The Lord is not slow to fulfill His promise, as some count slowness, but is patient towards you, not wishing that any should perish, but that all should reach repentance." And I'm so thankful that He was patient and that He waited. And He did it in His own timing. And He did, He's not a forceful God. He's not gonna push you and push you and push you away. He's going to wait until you're at that point where you break and you come to him. And I don't want to encourage you guys to wait around for that day, because we don't know if when we walk out of here, Christ is going to come back. And I thought that I was a Christian for all these years, and now I know that it wasn't until this summer that I became a child of God. And I always thought that I always wondered, am I going to go to heaven or am I not? I don't really know. And I just want to let you guys know that you can know. And if you are thinking that you might not be, then you probably aren't. And because 1 John 5:13 says, I write these things to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life. You will know. The way that you know is if you die to yourself and you have that personal relationship with him. And I want you guys not to be hesitant to share with people, mostly because somebody wasn't hesitant to share with me. And now I see how important that is. And now Anna's going to share a little bit from her side. She's kept quite a few prayer journals and has been praying for me for years. And a lot of people have been praying for me for years, and I'm just really grateful for it. So,
I'm gonna. Like she said, I kept, I started keeping a prayer journal whenever I got saved, and since then I've been praying for her, and my family has too. It's really neat to look back on that and see how we would get really discouraged, and I felt like there was no hope for her. And then now seeing that God has redeemed her is just really cool. So I'm going to read a little bit of my prayer journals, just some entries that had her in them. And then I'm going to read some scripture. So. All right. This was February 28, 2010. God, please help Lauren know what you want for her, because I feel as though you can help her with anything, answer all her problems. October 23rd, 2011. Also, help me to stick to my decisions. Please help me to witness to my family. And thank you for Lauren becoming more excited about your word. Please continue to grow her. Please, and Lord, I just long for the rest of my family to do the same. November 15th, 2011. Lord, please be with Lauren. I know she is struggling in her own ways. Please be her king of comfort, like you have been so many times. Let her cling to you and your word. Thank you for giving me courage to talk to Lauren, and thank you for that opportunity. That was December 3rd, 2011. December 9th, 2011. Lord, please help me to encourage Lauren to talk to Michael, which was her boyfriend, and give Lauren strength and courage to do it, and give Michael a willingness to listen and an open heart toward you. And countless times, I just wrote her name and then just prayed. But one of them was, give her encouragement and show her your love today. That's February 26, 2012. Pray about a relationship with you, talking about her. Let's see. April 19, 2012. Also, help me to have a conversation about Christ with Lauren and not about worldly things. Lord, help me to be excited about you and tell